Algebra 1 students, and welcome back to school. The crowd goes wild. Today we are going to talk about one-step equations and inequalities. This should all be a review. Hope it is. So first of all, there are four basic types of equations. If there is a number or term being added, you are going to subtract the number or term from both sides. So over here, let's look at this example. See how that number right there, it's being added. So we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0, leaves me with x on that side. 10 minus 5 is 5. Bada bing, bada boom. If there is a number or term being subtracted, we are going to add. So right there is the number being subtracted. Opposite of subtraction. Ooh, it's going to be a good year. You got to guess what I'm saying. We're going to add 5 plus 5 plus 5. Now remember, we have to do it to both sides. Whatever you do to the left side, you have to do to the right side. It's only fair. What if I give you $100 and don't give your brother $100? Well, that's fair. But what if I give your brother $100 and don't give you? Got to do the same thing to both sides to keep it equal. Negative 5 and 5 cancel. You have x on this side. 10 plus 5 is 15. All right, let's do some examples. So the first thing I'm doing, I'm going to look at this side because that's the side that has my variable. There is subtraction. Opposites of subtraction is addition. So we're going to add 3 to both sides. Negative 3 and 3 cancel. I have x. Negative 9 plus 3 is negative 6. Bada bing, bada boom. There's our answer. Okay, over here on the right-hand side is where my x is. Oh my gosh, it's on the right-hand side. No, I can't do it. Yes, you can. You're going to, sorry about that. You're going to just do the same thing, but we're going to start on the left or the right-hand side. It's being added, so we're going to subtract 6. We got to do from the left and the right. 21 minus 6 is 15. There is my equal sign. It comes straight down. The 6's cancel. I have x. 15 equals x. Yay! Over here, I'm going to look at the left-hand side because that's where my variable is. On here, there is a plus sign, but what kind of number do I have? A negative 7. So if I subtract 7, does negative 7 minus 7 cancel? No. So I have to add 7. Negative 7 and positive 7 are going to cancel out. Do the same thing on the left and the right. Those two cancel. What do you have left? X. Bring down the equals. 12 plus 7 is 19. If you did not get those, pause the video and make sure you are all caught up. Slide 2. The equation has a number that is being multiplied by the variable. You ready to write this down? This is called a coefficient. Coefficient. You're going to hear that word a lot come out of your teacher's mouth. Mostly you're going to hear rant, 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 but they're really saying the word coefficient. If there is a coefficient, that's the number being multiplied by a variable, we are going to divide both sides by the coefficient. So over here is the side that has the variable. See multiplication, 5x, that means multiply. Opposite of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide both sides by 5. The 5 and the 5 cancel, so x is equal to 2. So for example number 4, 7 and x are being multiplied. Opposite of multiplication is division. Divide on the left, divide on the right, divide by 7 because 7 and 7 cancel. So x is equal to 2. Therefore, all the answers are 2. Look at that. Just kidding. Over on the left-hand side, negative 21 and x are being multiplied. Opposite of multiplication is division. I'm going to divide by negative 21. Here, people, don't forget the sign. Negative 21 and negative 20 cancel, leaves me with x. And if I divide 36 by negative 21, I get an ugly decimal, okay? That is not an acceptable answer. Can't have an ugly decimal. If you got negative 1.2, that's okay. But you're going to get negative 1. And that's ugly. So if it is ugly, here's the rule. You're going to go to a reduced, are you writing this down? Fraction. This is the stuff you need to write down, okay? Go to a reduced fraction. What that means is you can use your calculator, but in order to do that, you first have to move that negative sign to the numerator, otherwise known as the top. So what you've got now is x equals negative 36 over 21. You can go to your calculator. We'll talk about that in class. I'm not going to talk about it on here. Or you can say, oh, look, they both divide by 3. So if I divide them both by 3, I get negative 12 over 7. In a computer, you would enter that as negative 12 with your slash 7. Okay? Computers can't handle weird things, so you have to know how to enter them the correct way. Over here on the right-hand side, we've got multiplication, so we're going to divide by negative 6, which means on the left we are also going to divide by negative 6. I'm going to shift a little over here because I'm running out of room. I get negative 2. 12 divided by 6, negative 6 is negative 2. The negative 6's cancel, and I have x. Negative 2 equals x. Okay, type 3 is the variable term, the term has a variable on top and a number on the bottom. In other words, you have a division problem. If you have division, you are going to multiply. Now, that's when there's no coefficient other than the number 1. So over here, I have x over 4. I'm going to multiply. For multiplication, we're going to use parentheses. I'm going to multiply by 4. Because this is really 4 over 1, and those 4's cancel, right? Over here where I have 7, I'm also going to multiply by 4. So over here I get x. This side is 28. Let's look at our examples. I'm going to rewrite it because I don't have any room. X over 6, I'm going to put it in parentheses to multiply. What am I going to multiply by? I'm going to multiply by 6. Now you can put the 6 in the back if you want. Doesn't have to be in the front. I've got negative 12 over here, and what I'm going to multiply? I'm going to multiply by 6. Remember, whatever I do to this side, I have to do the same thing to that side. These 6's cancel, so I have x equals negative 12 times 6 is negative 72. On this one, I've got x over negative 3. It is division, so I'm going to multiply. What am I going to multiply by? Negative 3, because remember, that's negative 3 over 1, and they cancel. What does that equal? Well, that equals 17, but what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply that by negative 3. Keep the same thing. Keep it balanced. Here, the negative 3's cancel, so I have x equals 17 times negative 3 is negative 51. For number 9, I'm going to put the 12 in parentheses, and I'm going to put an equals, and I'm going to put the x over 2 in parentheses. What am I going to multiply both sides by? 2. So now it doesn't matter if I multiply in the front or in the back. Multiplication 2 times 3, 3 times 2, it doesn't matter. It's called the, oh my gosh, what's it called? The commutative property. I can multiply in any order. 2 times 12, got to do the arithmetic, is 24. Over here, the 2 on top, 2 on the bottom cancel, and I get x. All right, next slide. If the coefficient is a fraction, which means there's not just a 1 on top, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Remember, the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2 over 1. The reciprocal of 4 over 5 is 5 over 4. So I'm going to take this 2/3 x, and I'm going to take the 10, and what am I going to multiply by? I'm going to multiply by 3 over 2. I'm going to multiply by 3 over 2. 3 on top, 3 on the bottom cancels. 2 on top, 2 on the bottom cancel, gives me x. Over here, this 10 is really on top. So I can either say 10 times 3 is 30, 1 times 2 is 2, or I could have said 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 5 or 10 5 times, and I would get 15. So your better answer there, the proper answer is x equals 15. So for number 10, 3/4 x equals negative 9. What am I going to multiply by? I'm going to put my multiplication in parentheses, remember. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, 4 over 3, and over here, 4 over 3. 4 cancels, 4 cancels, 3 cancels, 3 cancels. What's it leave me with? It leaves me with x. Over here, this is over 1. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into negative 9, negative 3 times. So my answer is negative 12. Number 11, I've got 5/8 x, and I have that equal to 25. What am I going to multiply by? Because I have a fraction. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, 8 over 5. 8 over 5. And 8 cancel, 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 cancel. I have what left? I have x equals, this 25 is on top. 5 goes into 5 once, into 25 5 times. So the answer is 40. I got 12 equals 2/3 x. Put the original problem in parentheses. And what am I going to multiply by? Start with the x's, do the reciprocal, 3 over 2, 3 over 2. Sometimes you work backwards. This side, cancel, 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 leaves me with x. This is over 1. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 12 6 times. So my answer is 18. Okay, this page is a lot of information, but inequalities are done the same way. You're going to do it exactly like an equation. So that means if there's addition, we're going to subtract. If there's subtraction, we're going to add. So this is subtraction. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So I get x is greater than 17. Addition, I'm going to subtract. I subtract 17 from both sides. I get x is less than or equal to negative 8. With multiplication and division, they are exactly the same, but I'll talk about the but in a minute. I'm going to divide because that was multiplication. So x is less than 3. On this one, I'm going to multiply by 5. Multiply by 5, cancel, cancel. X is greater than or equal to negative 40. Here's where the big but comes in. I like big buts and I cannot lie. Okay, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to multiply or divide by a negative number. Look at that, I said that twice. If you multiply by divide by a negative number, you must, write this down, flip the sign. Okay, let's take that exclamation point off. Flip the sign. So over here, this is when I decide. When you divide, that's when you decide. I divided by a negative number, so I'm going to flip the sign and get x is greater than negative 3. Over on this one, I'm going to multiply. This is negative 1 over 4, so I'm going to do negative 4 over 1. Doesn't matter where I put the negative. Remember, we like to put it on top. 1 cancels, 4 cancels, 4 cancels, negative, negative cancels. What do I have left? I have x. I multiplied by a negative, so I'm going to flip my sign. Negative 8 times negative 4 is positive 32. Now, the good news about inequalities is when you solve them, you have to graph them also. You are going to have an open circle if you do not have a less than. Here's your number, it's going to be open. 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 Okay? If it has or equal to, your number is going to have a closed circle on it. What that means is that number is part of the solution set. If I'm thinking of a number that's bigger than 5, 5 won't work. But if I'm thinking of a number that's 5 or bigger, then 5 will work. So you have to close it to say it's included. For shading, you are going to shade to the left if your x, your number, is less than. This is the one that messes you up. So make sure you put a big star. In fact, I don't like that star. Let's put a biggie wow wow star. This is a biggie wow wow, people. Whoa, that's important and exciting. Let's write that down. This one says my number is greater. Now you guys think, oh, I'm going to follow the arrow. You can't do that once you get to algebra. We change things up. If you notice, the x has the little point. The x has the little point. The number has the big mouth, big mouth, big mouth, big mouth. So we want our x, that's what we care about. Our x has to be smaller than the number, which is to the left. If we have a greater than, which means our x has the big mouth, big mouth, big mouth, big mouth, we are going to go to the right because our x has the big mouth, x is bigger. Our x has the little point, x is littler. That's a good word, littler. All right, and here are our last 3 examples. Last slide, look at this. This is multiplication. Multiplication means I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide both sides by 7. Decide at this point, is the number that I divided by right there, is that negative? Is that negative? Nope. So I do not do any flipping. Put your little negative 3 on there. Is it open or closed? Right here, that tells you it is closed. X has the little point on once the x is less than, so x's are littler than negative 3, which are those numbers over there. For example, negative 2, negative 1, 0. That's wrong. Don't listen to me. For example, I should redo this slide, but you know, I want to make mistakes on the first slide so you know what to do. Negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. What do I know? Okay, on this one, I'm going to rewrite it because I don't have enough room. And I'm going to multiply by what? I'm going to multiply by 4 over 3. Now, did I multiply by a negative? No. So that means I do not do any flipping. 3 goes into 3 once, into 9 3 times, so that is negative 12. X is greater. It has the big mouth. That means I want my numbers to be bigger. Do I want to include negative 12? Nope. So it has an open circle. Number 15, I have got multiplication, so the opposite is division. Right here is where I decide. Did I divide by a negative number? I sure did. Red flag going whoop, 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 whoop. You got to pay attention to that. So I'm going to get the X. I am going to flip that sign because I divided by a negative, and 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. Is negative 6 included? No. I want the X is greater. I want the X bigger. Bigger goes over here to the right. Okay, at this point, you should be all done, which means you should be smiling. Actually, you're probably going, oh, that's so sad, it's done. Well, the good news is we have a video every single night. Yay! Pretty exciting stuff, guys. That is the end of video 1. You are going to come to class tomorrow. Ha ha ha, we're going to do it in class today. And you're going to take a Canvas quiz over this video. That means you need your Surface. It needs to be charged, ready to go. And we're going to see how well you did on taking notes, okay? All right. Hey, see you again tomorrow night. Well, talk to you again tomorrow night. Bye.